Resistance bands and suspension training are two very different forms of exercise. Except for one thing, they both rely on anchor point principles. Anchoring simply means attaching your piece of equipment to a sturdy, safe object. So, what might be solutions for sturdy, safe objects? The first and most common anchoring solution is door anchoring. Various styles of resistance bands can be anchored to a door using methods such as a resistance band strap attached to the outside of a door, or most commonly, a knob that you can slide in between the door cracks, such as the one pictured. I'll mention it again later in the safety procedures, but it is critical to anchor the resistance bands on the side opposite to the door's opening direction to avoid obvious accidents. The only con to door anchoring is that you can't always get the band directly above you or directly beneath you. However, for many, this can be more of a concern with suspension training, and less so for resistance bands. There are ways to get the resistance band directly below you, for example, by standing on a resistance band board, or by having an anchor solution directly in the wall above you. The next anchoring solution is to a sturdy, vertical object. This can be something such as a basketball post or even a vertical fitness pole, such as the one you will see featured in all my teaching videos. The benefits to this mode of anchoring solution is that if you're using a 41-inch loop band, you can often have multiple anchor points if needed. And it's relatively easy to loosen and slide the resistance band to the appropriate level. It makes it easy to switch during your workout. These particular two anchoring solutions that I listed, the basketball post and the vertical fitness pole, are particularly safe primarily because of the smooth, round edges. It's best to avoid an anchoring solution that has sharp edges or rough surfaces. Next up is squat rack anchoring. This one is really common. This is similar to anchoring something to the vertical fitness pole or the basketball post. Just ensure that the squat rack does not have sharp edges and is not rough. This is obviously to protect the band. Last but not least, make sure the squat rack is actually secure. I hesitate away from the squat rack anchoring, and I'll explain why later in the safety practices. But just know that a lot of people use it, but just use it with caution, primarily because it can potentially fall on you. But I'll get to that later. Now, what about other solutions out there? Yes, there's gadgets and gear galore. There's even resistance bands that can slide on a device attached to the wall. And as mentioned earlier, there are a lot of boards that resistance bands can either be attached to or looped beneath. Use all these potential items at your own discretion, but just know that they are indeed options. Now for my favorite part, safety. Obviously, you are always free to do and try any anchor solution that you want. However, you will always be doing so at your own discretion. My personal opinion on things that are safe to anchor to is that it must be securely attached to the ground in some way, preferably in deep-seated concrete. I'm all about safety. And here's why I believe this. Many people go to parks and they think that soccer goalposts are an exceptional place to anchor their resistance bands, or even suspension trainers. Most of those soccer goalposts out in the park, however, are freestanding and are not securely anchored to the ground in any way. Since it is not securely anchored to the ground, there have been actually people who have used them and have been decapitated. The soccer goalpost basically falls on top of them and so please, because I love and care about all of you, don't do this. I don't need you guys being decapitated. A basketball post, however, is securely concreted into the ground, hopefully. But I will go off of that on a similar note. Always test what you're going to anchor before you go into full suspension or go into full throttle into your workout. Test it a bit. Maybe that basketball post isn't exactly in the deepest concrete that it should be. My point is, just be smart about what you're anchoring to. To clean your bands, whether they're silicone or latex, it's basically the same idea. Combine dish soap with very hot water, mix it together, and drop the bands in. Submerge the bands in soap for at least 30 minutes. Scrub off any residue and rinse again with very hot water. Alternatively, you can use vinegar or a combination of vinegar and baking soda and wash the bands with that instead. It's considered an all-natural solution for silicone sealants. For both silicone and latex, avoid using rubbing alcohol. A lot of people are tempted to just spray the bands in rubbing alcohol, but this can degrade both of them. Last but not least is basic use. While the Vector Athletic silicone resistance bands that I strongly recommend are extremely durable and can stretch even up to 3 times their resting length, and I've never had any of them break on me, it's advisable to never stretch a band past 2 times their resting length. Make sure you avoid doing this to prevent snapping. If you find that you're reaching that length very easily, it might be time to up the tension of your band. Of course, it's also important to replace bands every 2 to 3 years depending on the usage of them, as this can ensure safety and performance integrity. So there you have it. This video, I discussed the anchoring strategies that you can choose for your resistance bands, basically how to get started using them, and safety practices you must follow. In the videos to follow in this module, I'll explain even more about anchoring principles specifically, as well as provide you with your very first workout you can follow. Then, for the rest of this course, we will be going over specific exercises I'll guide you through so that way you can expand your vocabulary for your resistance band training. If you have not already signed up for the free first module of my resistance band 4-module course, go ahead and do so. It's in the link in the description below. I'd love to see you there. And otherwise, if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, share with your friends, anyone who can benefit from this. And always remember, your health is an investment, not an expense. I'll see you in the next one.